conduct job evaluation in the public teaching sector, noting the new learning areas under CBC in order for it to inform the kind of remuneration that the teachers should get with this added responsibility. Mr. Speaker, to the second part of the question, the Commission and SRC are planning to conduct a comprehensive job evaluation in the financial year 25-26 for the entire teaching service to ascertain the work of every job in the teaching service. The need for job evaluation has been informed by the change in the job content, the input and output factors, as well as the new jobs introduced by the competency-based education. The same will be done in a collaborative manner, and all the stakeholders will be involved as required by law. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, Dr. Boni Karwale.
Mr. Speaker, that is a straightforward answer, and I thank the minister. But please, in your review, do consider bringing into consideration the new things introduced, including deductions for housing, increased deductions for SHA. It's not nice in communities like mine, where we've got a huge population of teachers, to see young people earning a salary, Mr. Minister, of 3,000 shillings after all deductions are done. We are treating our workers very badly, and they take care of our children. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's get supplementary questions from Senator Joe Nyutu and then Gloria Oroba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my question is related to the question by the Senator for Kakamega to the CS. That because now under junior secondary or junior school as it's referred, that Mr. Speaker, the content there, the syllabus is basically high school syllabus. And so the teachers teaching in junior secondary, and I'm aware that they are qualified as they are secondary school teachers. But do we have we done enough assessment? Have we sent enough teachers to handle different subjects because of subject specialization, Mr. CS? Exactly what is the position in our junior secondary schools as far as handling subjects is concerned? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a supplementary question. Congratulations, Waziri, for the work that you're doing in that ministry. I am privileged to know that you are working silently but serving Kenyans. My supplementary question is that you have mentioned that there's going to be, you have started conversations in terms of the 2025-2029 CBA. And I was wondering, is there consideration for learning and development for these teachers in terms of, I know you are negotiating the payments, the salaries and things like that, but we have had concerns where some teachers would like to be facilitated to improve on their skills, to improve on their education or something like that. Is that going to be considered when you're having those conversations? Also, in terms of the job evaluations, we recently saw that we had issues in terms of bringing outsiders to teach drama festival, and now there's even conversations on sports. When you're doing the job evaluations, some of the feedback that we got as leaders is that the teachers who are talented or who are skilled in terms of sports or creative arts, they don't get remunerated. So therefore they say, we are not going to do an additional task that is going to be outsourced anyway. So in these job evaluations, can there be considerations such that those teachers who are actually within the creative arts can actually be considered and treated in a manner where their skill, their arts or sports or whatever can be appreciated and incentivized? That way, we can then say that we have qualified teachers who can train drama. Because as it stands now, we are getting drama teachers from the creative arts outside because most of the teachers don't have that skill, and the ones who have the skill are not compensated for it. So that is my additional question. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, we are in the month of May, which is the mental health Awareness Month, Mr. Speaker. And by mentioning that, I give my question to the CS, because CBC brought about a lot of responsibilities, administrative responsibilities, to the teachers, and especially head teachers, who are from a different curriculum to this new curriculum. Has the ministry considered the impact of CBC on the mental health and well-being of primary school head teachers? And what is it doing to cater for their mental health? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS respond to those three questions. Then we move to the next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To Senator Newton's question, yes, an assessment was done to the content for the teachers who are handling junior school. And to that extent, a number of teachers have so far been retooled. A total actually of 220,000 teachers have been retooled in the whole of the CBC program to ensure that they are brought up to the standard to handle the content that is provided for in JSC and the other areas. And they are subject specific. But we still have shortfalls, we still have gaps. That's why we did an internship of 20,000 this year. And in the budget, we provided resources now for another 20,000 next year. So there is something that is being done to ensure that there is a retooling so that the teachers have the content, have the capacity to take our students through the CBC program. To Senator Gloria's question, we now have, for example, 3 pathways, and the arts and sports is going to be mainstreamed. It is no longer going to be a co-curricular activity that is dealt with on the sidelines. And because it is mainstreamed, the resources then will follow that mainstreaming, including the training and capacity building of those teachers to ensure that they're up to standard and up to date with the curriculum and with the training for creative arts. And the reason is we need to avoid a situation where you have outsiders coming into the schools to train our students, because then you do not have control over them, because they do not subscribe to the what you could call the code of conduct of teachers. So if something happens, then you see you have no control over that. And that is being sorted out, including creating facilities that would be, now we're going to have in schools that are undertaking this particular pathway. We'll be having theaters, we'll be having studios. Those ones who are doing sports, we are working with the Ministry of Sports to ensure that in our schools, we have enough sports facilities to do that particular subject, so that it's not something that people do not benefit from when they are working on it, and it will be part and parcel of the job evaluations. Under the CBC training on the question of mental health, TSC provides information on employed wellness, e.g. counseling services, and this has been enhanced with the enhanced responsibilities. And as I answered the previous question, once the job assessment is done, this would come part and parcel, including the areas of career training or career teaching of the students, will become part and parcel of our training of the teachers and various checks and balances on a regular basis in the institutions they are in. In fact, to date, the TSC has a unit that addresses medical issues of teachers, including other areas where teachers might be having challenges, including mental health and other areas that teachers suffer from. So I submit.
I will have this communication to make. Honorable Senator Mbeti. Honorable Senators, we have, I'd like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and the students from Kamwembe Secondary School in the Rakanidi County. The delegation comprises 4 teachers and 99 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our issue of tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Sen-
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is Kamwembe Secondary School. Kamwembe Secondary School is in Tharaka County. Welcome to the Senate. It's one of the best upcoming schools in Tharaka County. Kamwembe, you are lucky you have come to the Senate when we are engaging our CSs on the matters of accountability. You have captured quite a number of engagements from the senators. This is where we registrate. You've been able to interact with the likes of Bone Alwale. Bone Alwale has been around for quite some time. He's one of the senior registrars in this country. You have also interacted with Kinadangwa, Karongwa Dangwa. Karongwa is as a broadcaster who is also a broadcaster and a MENA register now. So, and so many other senators around. You have also seen the former governor of Western Gishu, Senator Madago. And so many other senators around. We have also seen the new chair education, Senator Betty Montet. I think, Honorable Speaker, I would request you to allow Senator Montet to stand up maybe for Kamwembe Secondary School to recognize her. Please, Senator Montet, can you remain upstanding? So, Honorable Speaker, Kamwembe, most welcome. And once you are done with this session, of course, your senator will be able to interact with you and have a photo session. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Boni Karwale, what?
Mr. Speaker, it is not all the time and every time that children come here and find when the minister is here. Mr. Speaker, with due respect, understanding order number 1, could you request the minister to go and speak to the children behind the tent, and especially the fact that Mwembe School does not have a school bus? Mr. Speaker, if you could say something about that school bus. They have come with a matatu.
Did you say Mwembe or Mwembe? You know, Boni Karwale, the senator for Tharaka County is Senator Mofaya. You are out of order to arrange. Those allegations you are making out of order. Yes, Senator Mofaya.
You know, sometimes you don't have to blow your own trumpet. And now that Senator Arwala has just come to my head, I'm honestly requesting the CS to engage the school, and I'm very sure there are very many challenges. It's just a rare opportunity. Now that the CS, the school has been able to visit the Senate when the CS is around. So we, with very big respect, Honorable CS, please, once you are done with this session, engage the school, and I'm very sure they are going to table quite a number of concerns that are affecting the school, including the school bus and so many other things, the infrastructure in the school. So I think I agree with Senator Lwala that now that the school is lucky, the CS is around, please engage the students. I think we'll get.
Senator Mofaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mofaya, Boni Karwale, Senator Boni is not the chair to give instructions to the CS. Therefore, that matter stands as it is. The next question is by the Senator for Makueni County, Senator Daniel Manzo, MBS MP. So I don't know whether there is any other senator who has been given written instructions.
Honorable Speaker, I have instructions to ask the question on behalf of Senator Manzo, who had to leave. He was actually here, but had to leave to go to court on an emergency. Thank you, Honorable CS. And questions for Senator for Makueni are as follows. Question A, what measures are in place to ensure equitable access to free and quality education for children in marginalized and other underserved areas? Question B, how is the government addressing the shortage of qualified teachers and supporting infrastructure development in schools in Makueni County and in other underserved areas generally? And C, could the ministry consider implementing the school feeding program across Makueni County, which is drought affected and food insecure, to improve school attendance and address undernutrition among children in the county?
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, to part one of that question. Mr. Speaker, the ministry implements various measures to foster equitable access to free and quality education for children in marginalized areas and other underserved places. These measures are underpinned under Article 53 of the Constitution, which entitles every child to free and compulsory basic education. The measures that are in place include the following. One, there is a school meals program that we implement. This is a key government initiative designed to enhance access to and the retention of students in basic education, particularly among children in marginalized areas, arid and semi-arid, and food insecure areas. Some areas within Makueni County benefit from this program, and the ministry has adopted a progressive targeting strategy to facilitate the expansion of the initiative to other undeserved areas. We are now working to integrate clean cooking solutions into the school-based interventions as part of the broader efforts to promote environmentally sustainable and climate-friendly practices within learning institutions. Mr. Speaker, we also implement the low-cost boarding schools and mobile schools program. The low-cost boarding schools are a strategic intervention that targets a particular catchment of learners in environments that may inhibit school attendance, retention, completion, and transition. The intervention assists the hard-to-reach and marginalized learners in ASAL and vulnerable areas in the country. These are learners who, due to various circumstances, including retrogressive cultural practices like female genital mutilation, forced early marriages, and nomadic lifestyle, are unable to attend to classes regularly and consistently. In order to ensure attendance and retention in school, in view of these challenges, the government supports their stay in low-cost boarding schools by paying subsidies to support the non-teaching staff in the boarding wing and learners' upkeep in the schools. Mr. Speaker, the schools are not expected to charge learners boarding fees. Government grants support learners' upkeep and subsidizes salaries of workers attached to boarding sections in the schools. The program started in 2016, and for the last 5 years, the program has been receiving an annual allocation of 400 million Kenya shillings, despite the growth in enrollment, currently 486. And early marriages. This ultimately translates into improved transition and retention rates across the levels of basic education. The schools also serve as rescue centers for some of the learners who are kept in school and protected from the surrounding risks such as insecurity and retrogressive cultural practices. Madam Speaker, the primary challenge, honorable members, is the limited funding. As indicated above, the budgetary allocation has remained only 400 million over the last 5 years, even as the enrollment continues to grow. In the same vein, there is demand for expansion of the program to other regions, such as urban informal settlements, where children are vulnerable to child labor, early marriages, and insecurity. This will require an increase in the budgetary allocation. Program number 3 is out of school children advocacy campaigns. The Operation Come to School is a program that targets out of school children, including orphans, children with disabilities, married girls, street involved children, and those in ASAL and underdeserved areas. Key barriers to their education include inadequate teaching staff and facilities, limited support for learners with disabilities, poor sanitation, and recognized alternative learning systems, child labor, food insecurity, gender insecurity, and limited use of ICT in education. Question number 2, Mr. Speaker. The government, through a multi-agency approach, is addressing the shortage of qualified teachers and supporting infrastructure development in Makueni County and other undeserved areas across the country. As at the time of this response, Madam Speaker, the overall national teacher shortage stands at 98,461 teachers. To address this, the Commission has been undertaking the following interventions. 1, recruitment of additional teachers. The Teacher Service Commission annually seeks budgetary allocations to recruit teachers in response to the national staffing gaps. In the current financial year, a total of 1,429 teachers have been recruited on permanent and pensionable terms and deployed to schools across Makueni County. Engagement of interns. To further mitigate the teacher shortage, the Commission has continued to engage teacher interns. In 2024-25 financial year, 691 teacher interns have been posted to schools in Makueni. Replacement. To maintain teacher staffing levels, teachers who exit the service through retirement, resignation, or other reasons are replaced to maintain teachers' establishment. In Makueni County, 348 such replacements have been undertaken this year. We've provided a table making the total of those additional teachers, teacher interns, and the replacements a total of now 2,468. The strategies outlined above are consistently being applied in our undeserved regions across the country, including arid and semi-arid lands and remote areas. These include targeted recruitments based on staffing gaps, replacement of exited teachers, and annual deployment of the teacher interns. Part 3 of that question, Madam Speaker, the school meals program plays a critical role in enhancing enrollment, attendance, retention, and learning outcomes, particularly in drought-affected and food-insecure counties such as Makueni. The request to expand the program across the entire Makueni County is both valid and aligned with our national priorities in child welfare, education, access, and food security. Parts of Makueni County are among the areas benefiting from the program, with selected schools already covered. It's imperative to note that the expansion of the program requires additional resources. Currently, we face physical constraints that have limited our ability to expand the program. However, we are actively engaging the National Treasury and development partners to mobilize additional funding that will help us expand into other areas that require the intervention. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. We will now move on to maybe the next question is Senator Joe Nyoto.
Honorable Speaker, I think I need to ask the supplementary questions before you open it up.
Oh, you had not asked the supplementary questions?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Then I think, do you want to ask both right now or you want to ask one now?
I want to ask right now.
Okay, you can proceed, Senator Kathy. Senator Joe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable CS, I have two supplementary questions. The first one is, why have you reclassified Makueni County as a non-hardship area for teachers? And secondly, Honorable Speaker, in Nairobi County, the most vulnerable are situated in the informal settlement. How many schools has the Ministry of Health built with public funds? How many public schools have been built in the informal settlements in Nairobi, Mathare, Mukuru, Kibera, and the others, to support the highest population of vulnerable people within Nairobi County.
Okay, thank you, Senator Kathy. I think you were holding fort for Senator Manzo, who is now in the House, but now the questions have been asked. Anyway, let's proceed with the Minister responding to that. And before, Minister, you respond to that, CS, maybe we ask Senator Joe Nyoto's question, and then you can tackle both. To the
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question to the CS is related to question number B of Senator Manzo's questions. Madam Speaker, in junior secondary school, that is the particular level where students will actually pick their competencies. And you know, we have STEM, arts, and we also have social sciences, Madam Speaker. And what I'm referring to is that for students to be able to identify their competencies, especially those that may want to pursue STEM at senior school, then they need laboratories, Madam Speaker. And we have very few schools, especially public schools, junior secondary schools, that have laboratories. Exactly what is the plan of the ministry to see to it that at least every junior secondary school has a functional laboratory in order for those that may have a competence in STEM to be able to be exposed to the same. So it's about labs, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
CS, you can proceed to respond to those. Okay, Senator Manzo, you can proceed to ask the question.
Just first, I'm grateful to what Catherine Buma did. I was actually here, and a member's son was arrested, and I've just managed to get him out on bond. So the most important part of this question was that Makueni has now been declared a non-hardship area. Yet we know it's a hardship area, and the teachers there are in outcry. What is the ministry doing about that? And could the minister give the justification for such a decision? Yet we know very well Makueni County is a seriously hardship area. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Then finally, Majority Leader, you have a question also.
Madam Speaker, a totally unrelated question, but you know, citizens are following what you're doing here. And somebody has just sent one of the people who employed me, which is my constituent, has sent me a text and said, please, I work as a police officer. While they paid the teachers who are involved in the marking of national examinations, the police officers who provide the guarding services, you know, the containers that carry the exams, up to date, 5 months after the exams were released, they're still waiting for their pay. So he said, please bring it to the attention of the minister so that those officers can be paid. I thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I think CS, you can now tackle those questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the question of reclassification of Makueni as a non-hardship area, this is, I think, a general problem in the whole of government, because we found in certain areas you'd found one part of government classifying it as hardship, then the other part does not recognize it as hardship. So you'd have two officers, maybe a teacher and a civil servant in the same area being classified differently. So we've made a recommendation that an audit be done, and we have an actual gazettement of all the hardship areas so that it is harmonized. So with respect to the reclassification, I don't have clear information as to how this has happened. I'm hearing it here for the first time, and I undertake to find out what is the basis of that reclassification. But as far as our programs in the ministry are concerned,
CS, can you confirm within which period you will bring back that response on the reclassification? You are undertaking. the period?
2 weeks, Madam Speaker.
That's okay.
With respect to our ministry, with respect to the school feeding program, we have a program where we are supposed to work towards reaching 10 million children. We are currently supporting 2.6 million, which is far below the children who actually require that support. So we'll be working continuously to reach that number, and that number was the target for 2030. So we are looking forward to get resources from both the government and our partners to ensure that children in the ASAL areas who deserve to get this program, and those in the urban informal areas who require this support, so that we retain them in school for one reason, to retain them in school as required under the Constitution. We look for resources to ensure that we reach that number. In the question to Senator Nyutu on the number of laboratories, this year in the budget, we provided for a budget to construct a further 1,600 laboratories. We are also working with our SEPU, the school equipment unit, to provide mobile laboratories, and also working with other institutions, because we realize that some of the JS schools are adjacent to secondary schools, so they join together and use those facilities so that they are not completely left out. So as a government, we're working progressively to ensure that each and every school has a lab. We're also working with the CDF to convert some of those classrooms that have been done into labs for these students and provide the much required lab equipment so that they are not completely left out. We are aware of it and we are doing something about it. I've answered the hardship area, the issue that will respond in 2 weeks and give that reason. On the issue of non-payment of police officers who assisted us in the examination, I am aware that there was a challenge with the budget, and we've requested for some resources under supplementary 3, and we'll be going to sort out the police officers once that exchequer is released. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kadhi's supplementary question has not been responded to. The schools in slum areas.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, true. The question of how many schools that have been built, public schools in informal settlements in Nairobi. I've asked the DG to give us that report within 2 weeks. I do not have the actual data, so we'll also provide it through the Education Committee, the actual number.
So what timelines do you need for that response? Or Senator, do you want to bring a substantive question?
Honorable Speaker, I think, I believe that is information they should be able to provide in a week. This is a question I asked earlier, Honorable Speaker, just for your information, as a question, but the ministry never responded to it. So I asked the ministry and the County of Nairobi. County of Nairobi responded on what they're doing. The ministry never responded. That was in the last session. So I believe it's information which is about the fact of what you have done. It doesn't need 2 weeks. It can actually be done in 1 week.
Honorable CS, in view of the fact that the question has been asked again, we will allow you between the 7 days to 14 days. But if you can endeavor to provide that information within 7 days, that will be good. But you will have up to 14 days to bring the response to the facts. I believe those are existing facts. You might not need to do much to get those facts. They should be existing in the ministry.
Well guided, Madam Speaker.
Honorable CS, is there anything else you would wish to clarify? You can give your closing remarks as we wind up that session.
Just to thank Madam Speaker and the honorable members for the opportunity to respond to the issues that are facing the ministry, and just to, really thank the members of this Senate and the members of Parliament for the support that they're giving the ministry in handling and sorting out the number of issues and challenges in the education sector. And I believe that working together, we will be able to resolve a number of issues that we are facing, and taking into account also the recommendations and suggestions that you've given to us, we'll endeavor to ensure that we put them into practice in order to resolve the issues, and because generally all of us are working for Kenya. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And to the students from this school in Tharaka Nithi, let me welcome you to Nairobi, and I'll be passing by to see you. I'm sure that having followed these particular proceedings, some of them might be ending up unseating some of the senators around here. But thank you so much, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Honorable CS, for the responses you have given to the House. It is quite clear that education is one very critical pillar, which honorable senators are very interested in, and I believe even the Kenyans. So thank you for the insights you have offered as you answered those questions. Now you are free and you are discharged. Thank you. Next order.
Thank you.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya.
Senator Karungo Thangwa, I believe you're the one moving this motion. It's your motion. And as you do so, under order number 8, you will have 20 minutes to move that motion. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to move this motion. Madam Speaker, I beg to move the motion, consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya, that aware that pursuant to Article 53 of the Constitution, every child in Kenya is entitled to free and compulsory basic education, and the Basic Education Act provides that basic education should be guided by the principles such as equitable access to all children and equal access to education or institution. Further aware that many students in secondary schools and higher education institutions come from financially disadvantaged backgrounds, making it difficult for them to afford school fees and access education opportunities. Noting that over the years, various interventions have been made, including the issuance of bursaries through the National Government Constituency Development Fund, that is NGCDF, National Government Affirmative Action Fund, that is GAF, the Ministry of Education, and county governments through various county bursary funds. Concerned that, despite these efforts, school fees remain unaffordable for many parents, and the allocation of bursaries has been plagued by nepotism, favoritism, and political manipulation, lack of transparency and accountability. Further concerned that public learning institutions are primarily funded by the government through the Ministry of Education, and in the financial year 2024-2025, approximately Kenya shillings 656 billion was allocated to education sector, making it difficult to ascertain the specific funds granted to each student and the lack of transparency in the disbursement of bursaries from various agencies, making it difficult to determine the total amount allocated in a financial year, thus hindering efforts to ensure equitable access to education for financially disadvantaged students. Now, therefore, the Senate urges the Ministry of Education to, one, audit the funds allocated to bursaries by both the national government and the county government, consolidate the funds distributed by various government entities and agencies with the aim of directing these funds directly to schools as supplementary capitation to facilitate the achievement of free secondary education. And number three, calculate the cost of education per learner and make this information public for primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, including a detailed breakdown of the annual financial requirements for each student across the country. Madam Speaker, we just concluded a session with the CS Education. How I wish he could have sat in to listen to this deliberation, because once the Senate, Madam Speaker, concludes on this matter, it will be taken to the Ministry of Education to at least implement on the proposals and recommendation of the Senate. Madam Speaker, I want to be on the record that we, or this motion, is not fighting bursary. Because, Madam Speaker, bursaries are lifeline. Without bursaries, so many students could not have attained education. Without bursary, so many children could not have gone to school. And without bursary, Madam Speaker, the rate of dropout and the illiteracy rate could have been higher than it is today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are all here, or this motion, what is trying to achieve, Madam Speaker, is one thing and one thing only. It is to fight discrimination when it comes to issuing of bursaries, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, who gets the bursary? The person who gets the bursary, Madam Speaker, is that person who probably knows the MP, or who probably fills those forms, or who probably is in the campaign team of maybe those who are issuing bursaries, Madam Speaker. So when we look at it that way, we see that not every child gets a bursary. So this begs the question, what do we do to make sure that the needy gets the bursary? The needy gets to go to school and to learn, and especially in secondary education, without paying any school fees, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Constitution, that is under Article 53, 1B, every child has a right to free and compulsory basic education. And secondary school is part of it, Madam Speaker. So if we continue disbursing bursaries the way we disburse today, Madam Speaker, we find out that sometimes the needy of the needy do not get these bursaries, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want you to remember that the bursaries are also part of the national goal of achieving universal basic education and fulfilling Kenya Vision 2030. So everybody agrees that we require bursaries. Everyone agrees that we need to send our children to school and pay for their education. So this begs the question, are we providing that within the current setup or within the way the bursaries are issued? That is the question I'll be answering as I move this motion, Madam Speaker. But before I get there, let's ask ourselves, who currently issues bursaries? Who gives bursaries? And how much is involved, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, we have NGCDF, that is the MPs. They give bursaries for secondary school and tertiary education to an amount from 20 million to 30 million to 70 million per constituency, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have GAF, by women reps. They give bursaries between 10 million to 15 to 20 million per year, Madam Speaker, per county. We have the county governments, that is the governors and MCAs, they give bursaries, Madam Speaker. The Ministry of Education also gives bursaries, Madam Speaker. The president himself also gives bursaries, and his bursaries are in the labor department, Madam Speaker, in the labor ministry. So the only person who does not give bursary from the 6 people who are voted for by Kenyans, all the way from MCA to the president, is only the senator, Madam Speaker. And that's probably is a good thing, because now we can discuss this issue from both perspectives, those who give and those who do not give, Madam Speaker. If you do the math, Madam Speaker, if every constituency gives an average of 50 million per constituency, and we have 290 constituencies, Madam Speaker, that will be about 14.5 billion, Madam Speaker. I want you to put that in mind, that the constituencies gives about 14.5 billion for bursaries every year, Madam Speaker. The women rep, 15 million times 47, that is about 700 million, Madam Speaker. The county governments, they give bursary from 200 to 500 million per year per county. We go with the highest, Madam Speaker, 500 million per year. That will be about 23.5 billion. The Ministry of Education, who knows, Madam Speaker? We don't know how much they give us bursary. The president, who knows? We don't know how much they give us bursary, Madam Speaker. And that's why I'm calling for that consolidation and making sure that we get to know how much. And Madam Speaker, Kenya shillings going for bursary, Madam Speaker. Now that we know how much, Madam Speaker, that goes to bursaries, Madam Speaker, let me now tackle the question of how it is disbursed and why this motion is very important, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is a lot of fragmentation. Fragmentation means 5 people are giving bursaries, but nobody knows who is giving who, because there's no coordination. The president will give somebody in a certain constituency, in a certain ward. That person, the MCA does not even know who that person is. The women rep will give the bursary to a certain county in a certain ward. The MCA will not know who got bursary from the women rep. The MP will give bursary to a certain constituency in a certain ward. The MCA will not know who was given bursary by the member of parliament. Why? Because there's no data. We cannot be able to know who was given bursary by who. Even when the governor is giving or issuing bursary, Madam Speaker, sometimes you don't know who. Even the MCA, when the MCA now is also giving bursary, the member of parliament doesn't know who was given by the MCA. The member of parliament, the women rep, the president, and even the governor probably, they don't know who was given by the MCA. So this brings about multiple allocation. So if somebody is in the village, and as we say, his or her area is way higher, they will be able to know when the bursary is given by the governor, when the bursary is given by the MCA, when the bursary is given by women rep, when it is given by the MP or even the president. So you will find such a person will benefit from every politician. Some of them even get more than they require for their students in school or for their children in school. So that's why we are saying we need to align this, Madam Speaker, that an MCA should know who was given bursary by the MP. The MP should know also vice versa, who was given by the MCA or women rep or the president. So that, Madam Speaker, we deal with inefficiency and duplication. Because if we cannot cure this duplication, we are losing money, Madam Speaker. And that's why this motion is suggesting, instead of sending an MP, probably sending an MCA, probably sending the president, or sending anyone, the question I asked here before on this floor Why don't we take all this bursary and put it in school, and especially secondary schools, so that we can make secondary education free of charge, Madam Speaker? What stops us from doing that? We can add it to the capitation so that you don't have to go kneel to a politician to get bursary, Madam Speaker. And that way, we will be able to know how much is needed for education. Previously, when the CA's education was here, I asked him a question. Do you know how much have you costed education per child? The CA said they don't know. So we even budget for things that we don't know, Madam Speaker. So this motion is telling the CS and the Ministry of Education, calculate the cost of education per learner and make this information public for primary and secondary and tertiary institutions, Madam Speaker. And this is including a detailed breakdown of the annual financial requirements for each student across the country. We need to know, if I get to Form 1, how much does that child need to have his or her education until the end of the year, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are still dealing with the problems with the current system of bursary issuance, the favoritism, the nepotism, and politicization, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, sometimes I feel like crying when I see our mothers sitting on the ground, sitting on the soil, on the grass, waiting for a politician to finish their speech so that they can be given 2,000 Kenyan shillings to go pay bursary, Madam Speaker. We need to restore the dignity of our parents, the dignity of our mothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, that we do not have to make them sit on the ground for them to get this 2,000 shillings that they need to take the kids to school. That money should be sent to school so that that education in secondary school is free, Madam Speaker. We need to restore the dignity. The way we do not give politicians money for NHIF or for SHA, such that anybody who is having a cold here, Madam Speaker, anybody who has a broken leg, I have money here from national government, you have to go to hospital, you get treated, and the government pays for that. That is what we are supposed to do with education. Go to school and study, the government will pay, Madam Speaker. Because I do not understand, why does the government give you money to go pay government? And this is actually the reason why I brought this motion, Madam Speaker. Why? It's like, Madam Speaker, I have unga every day in a portion meal. And instead of giving you unga, I give you money to come and buy from my portion meal. I give you 50 shillings, I tell you, come and buy now in my shop. Rather than just giving you unga, if I have to give you unga, Madam Speaker. So what I'm trying to say, Madam Speaker, we need to restore the dignity and as well bring about transparency. Because there's no public database. And this is what we are asking the Ministry of Education, that we need a database. We need to know, if I think about my ward, where I come from, where I was born, called Ngewa Ward in Kiambu County. If I go to the systems, I need to know who was given how much by the MCA, by the MP, by the governor, by the women rep, by the president, by the ministry. So that, Madam Speaker, we are able to be transparent and know who gets what, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of what the motion is proposing, that the Ministry of Education to audit all bursary funds issued by national government and the counties. We need to understand how much that goes in as bursary, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we also need to consolidate all bursary allocation into a single pool. And I want you to understand me clearly, because this might be misconstrued, like we are taking the bursary back to the central government. No, that is not what we are doing. Consolidation means, if you know you have this amount of money from all the bursaries, then after we calculate the cost of education per child, this money is disbursed directly to schools as supplementary capitation, Madam Speaker. So that is what this motion is looking for, that we should give these monies to schools so that education can be free, and especially secondary education. Madam Speaker, this will reduce administrative waste. Remember, every bursary fund has 5% to 10% of the administrative uh, um, um, cost, Madam Speaker. We need to enhance transparency, eliminate double funding, and ensure that most vulnerable students are prioritized, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm not the only one speaking about this. So many other leaders, recognized leaders, are speaking about it. The Chief Justice is on record, Madam Speaker, saying that this issue of bursary need to be discussed so that we reduce wastage. Madam Speaker, we have even Senator Osotsi is on record. Senator Chimera is on record out there, Madam Speaker. The Speaker of the National Assembly is on record. Even the President himself mentioned that we need to look into this issue of bursary. And more recently, Madam Speaker, there is an honorable member in the National Assembly, Honorable Pasaris, who has brought another motion, which is more like what we are discussing here today, Madam Speaker. We also have the minority leader of the National Assembly, Junet Mohammed, who has also brought a motion. Although for them, they are trying to look at centralizing bursary fund, which is not what we are looking for here. What we are saying is it goes to schools directly. We do not want to create one kitty where a child in Taveta will be coming to Nairobi to apply. No. Or a child in Kiambu or a child in Kisumu will be coming to apply. No, we should not go back to that one single kitty. What we are looking for, send the money to schools where the children are, Madam Speaker. And you should not even apply for bursary. What for? We know you are needy, Madam Speaker. Education should be free, just the way it is free in primary. It should be free in secondary, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of, is this feasible, Madam Speaker? What's the legal and policy basis, Madam Speaker? I highlighted Article 53 of the Constitution, that it is a right for a child to get education, Madam Speaker. It is in the Basic Education Act, Madam Speaker, that its equity and access are guiding principles, Madam Speaker. Even Public Finance Management.
Allow him 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Even Public Finance Management Act support fund consolidation and accountability. And of course, Vision 2030, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what does success look like? One, transparent bursary system that is supplementary capitation that is given directly to the schools. It is even better for children to apply for bursary in their schools, Madam Speaker, rather than in their villages or rather than at the mercy of any politician, Madam Speaker. We need to have a digitized beneficiary tracking system and audit trails, Madam Speaker, so that we are able to know who gets what when it comes to bursary allocation. Madam Speaker, I call all the senators to support this motion. We owe it to the children of Kenya to remove financial barriers to education. This is not a partisan motion. It is a motion for equity, accountability, and national cohesion, Madam Speaker. A consolidated bursary system is the only way to ensure no deserving student is left behind. Madam Speaker, I move. I take this opportunity to call upon the seconder of the motion, Senator for Vihiga, Senator Osotsi. Thank you.
Senator Otsotsi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from the onset, let me say that I fully support this motion, and I want to say that I second this motion because it's a very, very progressive motion. The motion to consolidate all bursary programs into one program is very progressive. As explained by mover of this motion, the senator for Kiambu. Madam Speaker, As you know that I'm the chair of the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee. And we, for the last 2 years, we have been dealing with the audit reports for bursary funds in our counties. And we have tabled numerous reports on this floor. And I can tell you that the picture coming from those reports is not good. This money that we give as bursary funds are being misapplied, misappropriated in our counties. And we have given recommendations, and one of the recommendations we have given is the need to align those bursary funds to the law and consolidate bursary funds. Madam Speaker, some of us went to school through bursary funds when bursary was working. I remember, Madam Speaker, at the university, I was one of the beneficiaries of the Ratansi Education Bursary Fund. And they were really, really looking for the needy students, the students who truly were needy. But now, progressively, Madam Speaker, we are seeing a situation where people are being given bursary even if they are not needy. Everyone is being given bursary, and it's for political purposes, to the extent that one student is given 2,000 shillings. Madam Speaker, what do you do with 2,000 shillings? It is because the members of parliament who run the CDF bursaries are using it for political manipulation. And if you do not support them, they deny you bursary. The scheme that Honorable Tango is proposing will eradicate political manipulation, where bursaries will be given to the most needy students. Madam Speaker, even as we think about consolidation, I think it is important for us to rethink the policy on fees, so that we have a free education policy from nursery, ECD, to university. Madam Speaker, if a poor country like Burkina Faso can wake up one day and declare that there is no fees payment in school, and it's working, and a country like Kenya cannot do that, Madam Speaker, I think it's important that even as we talk about consolidation of bursary programs, we should also talk about how we can have a free education policy in this country. Madam Speaker, even as we are talking about bursaries and CDF, currently there is a public participation exercise that is being conducted by members of the National Assembly. That exercise is unconstitutional because the MPs are mobilizing their supporters to meet in CDF offices and guiding the process. This should have been an open exercise where even senators should participate, because one of the issues they are raising is the issue of Senate Oversight Fund. How are they able to conduct a public participation talking about Senate Oversight Fund without the input of senators? Madam Speaker, that is a debate we are going to engage in, because this is unconstitutional and the Senate is not fully involved.
Honorable
Madam Speaker, I
Senators,
second.
Honorable Senators, it is now 1 p.m. Time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 7th May 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
Sound Candy Talk Live News.